I'm back. I'm back. If you have missed me, hashtag Amber's back and give us a little comment, right? So what's up?
Don't ask the question why.
Don't ask the question why. We've just been all over the place, right? So it's time for a little lighter side of the news with Amber, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm still here with Ed
little
Wolfe.
Amber Bach, maybe?
Yeah. There we go. A little Amber wouldn't mind. So it's almost happy hour time, which is cool. But before that, we still have several pretty awesome sessions going on. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But we should ask guest co-host Ed Wolfe a couple more questions, right?
Why not?
I think the burning hashtag question, which we really haven't had one in a long time. So if you've missed the hashtag question, it's like a quadruple hashtag situation we got going on. Let us know. We want to hear from you. Hashtag NRF LP14. Okay, so Ninja, right? We talked at the top of the broadcast really about the Ninja coming in, like we may have a Ninja appearance. You have one, right? We have a Ninja appearance. This is breaking.
We have a Ninja sighting.
We have a Ninja sighting.
Yes, and then I just happen to have one in my...
Oh, it's very tiny. And here it is. This is, so why Ninja Tag? Why that name?
Well, I think that because our customers wanted it. I mean, the fact is that in going to sessions with them and asking what their difficulties are, they do not like working with wires when they're trying to protect something in a box. So we came up with Ninja.
Ninja because it's stealth.
It's Ninja because somebody else named it. I would have named it something else, but it was.
What would you have named it? Stealth non-Ninja Tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I mean. This is like unscripted, right?
Yeah. Well, our teleprompter's broken again. Imagine that.
Okay. No, I don't know what I would have named it. I honestly don't.
I love Ninja.
Ninja's as good as the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because first of all, nothing beats a ninja. I mean, is that part of the marketing slogan?
Ninjas are pretty cool.
Ninjas are pretty cool.
Ninjas are pretty cool.
If I had to pick a superpower, I think that could be a burning hashtag question. If you had to pick a superpower, what would it be? This is a hard one.
If I had to pick a superpower, I would say it would have to be one of the, Wolverine or something.
Wolverine, and that works out.
That could be.
That works out with the last name, right?
Oh, you're
wow,
right.
See?
He's a relative.
Okay, so turning from the lighter side of the news, we thought we'd give you all just a little bit of break from the seriousness of what some of these topics are.
I thought we were being serious.
We were being serious about the Ninja because nothing beats the Ninja, let's be real. But how about ORC? Certainly not a laughing matter. And also active shooter. But we've got hot off the session press here, a perfect guest host. We're going to bring you in. This is an off-camera moment. Come on in here. It's Mike Liberatore. Liberatore. I've practiced saying it 50 times.
I think the guy introduced me in the session as Liberatore. Yeah.
Liberatore. You got to get. We got to get all close in here.
Hang out with these crazy kids here.
In front of the camera.
It seems like we're like all shoulder to shoulder, but out there they're like, "Where'd you go?" Right. So tell us. You just had a tabletop.
Yesterday. It was last night. Yeah,
last
but it was
night,
fabulous.
Tabletop. Tell us about it.
A lot of great feedback. I don't know what the capacity is of those rooms, but every seat was filled. It was an hour session, but I think we went over an hour and a half.
On active shooter.
On active shooter, it was a tabletop exercise, and it was really exciting. We had an excellent panel of subject matter experts. We had a retired deputy chief of NYPD, actually the commissioner of Yonkers, on the panel. Andrea Schultz from DHS on the panel. SWAT, Fort Lauderdale SWAT, here on the panel, and he was outstanding. Dave Donaway from Simon Properties. And I'm missing somebody here, but just an excellent panel.
A bunch of lightweights.
A bunch of lightweights. Yeah. I think I mentioned Andrea Schultz.
No name dropper. You're kind of a name dropper too.
And
we already tagged Joe as a total name dropper.
Yeah. And while I'm dropping names, I'll mention my boss, Tony Cacciapoli, who's also on stage with him. He did an excellent job.
That's smart career
but
right
it was exciting. I tell you.
You wanted to
yeah, well, no, she wasn't there. Okay. But I can tell you, because as you know, Ed, I've done a lot of sessions over the years, and I'm just really excited about it because of the level of participation.
Well, tell us like tabletop. Like, what does that mean?
Well, I mean,
people
we
were
actually
involved.
so we had the backdrop was a fictitious mall, but in Fort Lauderdale along A1A, Black Friday 2014, just before 1 o'clock, just before the 1 o'clock doorbuster, a fictitious vendor we called Belfem was giving away at 95% off retail plus a gift with purchase an item. So you had a long line of people, lots of tourists, lots of folks on the beach. The A1A jammed. Because it is in the heat of the season, and right at 1 o'clock, guy comes in and points an assault rifle at an associate, and takes her out and yells some kind of scary stuff, and then proceeds to over the course of several minutes kill a lot of folks with
it's
our
a fictitious.
It was a fictitious situation
But then you're
in
walking
a fictitious mall.
walking the retailers through.
And it was and so as we for every minute of the incident, we would stop, ask the audience what the next step would be. Just great participation. Really, the audience steered it. It really wasn't us. The audience took it somewhere. The experts had something to say about it. Had us in some cases actually reconsider the approach we were taking, and often other ways. But everybody, I think, walked away feeling like they learned something. I think the biggest takeaway is for all of us, and even the folks such as our company that have an active shooter protocol in place, is that there's really opportunities to tweak your emergency action plan and to take the time to spend with your stores to kind of go through these scenarios to elevate the level of awareness. As we know, because it's in the news every other day. I mean, this is not something that, the Von Maur 6 or 7 years ago was really kind of when you think about all this really started. But that's at the point now where you're hearing about this once a week. It's scary stuff.
Well, it's accelerating.
That's
the scary part.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had 15 this year. For the last couple of years, it was 12 on a year.
Yeah.
Before that, it was only 5 a year.
That's right.
So the real question is, did you come to some conclusion about how we might be able to slow the process down?
I don't necessarily. What I would tell you is, and I think the lesson in this tabletop, I don't want to give it away because I think people may want to take it. We're going to make it available for folks to use in their companies. Were there telltale signs that perhaps something like this could happen, and were there things that the company could have done to perhaps mitigate or lessen the vulnerability? And again, I don't want to give it away, but I think that would have been a big takeaway for the group. And then just the importance of awareness. It's interesting because we had some really impressive people on the panel, and I won't name names, but there was a company that had instituted a program where one of the things that came out in our session, do you pull a fire alarm, do you cut off the power? And someone made the comment about you want to evacuate the building, and as I had mentioned, it's like, well, do you want to, if you say you're going to evacuate the building, you're potentially bringing people in on this, it's a fictional 3-story, 200,000 square foot building, potentially bringing them down an escalator or vertical transportation into harm's way versus having them evacuate, hold in place, or better yet, if they can evacuate because they are safe, getting out through egress that maybe takes them out to the parking deck and out of the building, those types of things. So
people, it sounds like from this exercise, truly, if they didn't have a plan in place, definitely left with at least a shell of one or some major things to consider.
Absolutely. I was a part of a small group of retailers that met with DHS in New Orleans about 6 or 7 years ago when we put together this active shooter protocol, and we recognized then that there wasn't anything. Getting this out and having people sign up for it and actually roll it out in their stores, the chances were slim. People were concerned about what that meant. But as we shared, we asked by a show of hands, which was interesting, how many folks in the audience had an active shooter protocol and that actually have disseminated the information. And even here it is 2014, there were only a few folks that raised their hand. And my point was, and I actually think it was brought up by one of the law enforcement officers, we have training in place. I think we're past the point of do we do this or do we not do it. I think consider it from just a liability standpoint. There is an awareness program. You really should consider disseminating that in your companies, your organizations.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, I live in California, and we haven't had an earthquake in a long time, or one that's sizable enough. But if I had 15 earthquakes this year, I'd own an earthquake kit.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
right. Exactly. It's a great analogy.
It's a great analogy.
It is a great analogy.
So we're going to have to wrap this up soon.
Sure, great.
But I think we should actually turn back to the lighter side of the news, just
do
for a
that.
moment.
Let's do that.
Just have a mental break, right?
Sure.
So we've been testing my hockey knowledge this whole time, which, as you know, I thought the Rangers were in Texas. But look, there is a Texas Ranger team of some sort.
Well, the Rangers are in Texas.
Right?
They're
so
not
I'm
a
not
hockey team.
technically wrong with
Right.
the Texas Rangers. It's just ice versus baseball, right?
Just ice versus baseball. Yeah, they actually are very similar, except there's no baseball in hockey,
And no ice.
and there's no ice in baseball.
Right. Did you
They're
get
very
that?
Similar. I mean, it's very much like.
Although it's possible to
it's very
play
much like
baseball
a-
on a very cold day where there may
very
be
much
ice
like
involved.
a Ferrari, but they don't make them in the red, and they're not very fast, and they you know.
It's very similar. So the good news, especially for me, when we're talking about hockey and sports knowledge, however, I do have relatively limited sports knowledge, being a former athlete.
Nobody's holding that against you.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Hey,
holding that against you.
hey, thank goodness this isn't a hockey show.
Right.
I'd be really
Well, I'd
toast.
be in trouble too.
But the good news is Jimmy's giving me the wrap-up sign. Aren't you guys lucky out there? So thank you to my guests, and we're going to pass it over to Mr. Joe LaRocca, who has somehow been promoted to moderator. I don't get it. Hashtag what the heck. Over to you, Joe.